Hey guys, welcome back on my channel. Today I have another exciting microphone review for you guys. If you're new to YouTube or podcasting or you want to record Let's Plays, I'm going to review for you today the Behringer C1 studio condenser microphone, which it feels really solid. It's got kind of like really heavy packaging. So my guess is this is probably a metal casing here. And I saw someone I know, he seems to use this for podcasting, and I like the sound quality of it. So I just wanted to give it a quick test to see whether I get the same good results with this. In the past I was usually more the guy for dynamic microphones. I was usually always using a dynamic microphone for recording tutorials on my computer. Usually I always have the Shure here. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to compare this dynamic microphone against the condenser microphone, and I'm just going to do some A/B testing to see what the difference sounds like. And if you look at the navigation below, right now we're in the introductory part. In part 2 I'm going to do a quick unboxing of the Behringer microphone. And like I told you a second ago, then in part 3 we're going to do some A/B testing between these two mics. And for this, I'm going to connect it to my preamp and do some listening tests after recording this and give you my conclusion in part 4. And one thing I noticed, one of the viewers complained, wow, this is too complicated. I need the microphone, I need a preamp, and I need an audio interface. No, you don't necessarily need such a preamp, but I really like to test with this preamp. It's right now it's like one of the favorite preamps that I use because it's like so compact. But obviously you can take the microphone as well and connect it simply to your audio interface, as long as you keep in mind that your audio interface needs the XLR microphone input as well as the phantom power. And then basically every halfway decent interface that you use should work relatively fine. I mean, on my channel I have a bunch of other videos. Maybe I can show this to you here. And as you can see, I have tested, well, as you can see in my other videos, I have tested microphones also directly with, let's say, the Yamaha AG3 USB audio interface. So you can totally connect microphones directly to your audio interface. That works fine if you want a little bit more of a simpler setup, because arguably I have to say it really is a little bit more convenient if you only have the audio interface and the microphone directly connected. As opposed to having like a third device. I mean, for me personally, if I have the audio interface, the preamp, and the microphone, the more stuff I have on my desk, obviously it will be more cluttered. That's the only downside. But yeah, I like the preamp, and that's what I like to test with. It has a really great sound. I think I get the best out of the microphones by using that preamp, and thereby giving you the best sound example of what sound the microphone can actually produce. So without further ado, let's get rolling with the unboxing and then jump to the sound test. Guys, I'm excited to have you here. Let's get rolling. So now guys, we're gonna have a closer look at the Behringer C1 Studio Condenser microphone. And as you can see, it's a quite big package and it's kind of heavy. So I'm really curious to what we can find. There's a lot of stuff on the side here. It says ultra low noise transformerless FET input, eliminates low frequency distortion, LED indicates phantom power operation. So that's that's well thought through, and I'm not sure whether you ever noticed, but it says on every Behringer packaging it's designed and conceived in Germany, but then it's manufactured in China. So that seems to be like a German-Chinese partnership. I think that is kind of interesting. So since I'm from Germany, I'm even more curious to see how this performs and how this plays out. I remember back in the day, I think I saw some documentary, and I think it was about Behringer from some like German engineering dude that moved to China and started working on building up this production. So that was kind of really interesting documentary. Maybe I can find this again one day and post it below. That was really interesting to see. But in any case, let's have a look inside. and see what we can find. This is very, very useful. I mean, you see you have this packaging and then you have another packaging inside. And this is a really useful transport case. I kind of like this a lot. Here we have a manual in a lot of different languages. So this microphone is truly sold globally in all sorts of countries. I'm just gonna have a look inside. And then we're gonna jump to the sound test in just a second. These carrying cases, I like these carrying cases. They are really useful. Here, 2 moisture absorbent packages. I don't know why they put 2 instead of 1. Double protection, I guess. This is always something I tell people about. Pay attention to this adapter. Because if you have a microphone stand or mount where you need this smaller, how do you call this, smaller thread, then this is important. I can show this to you here. I have the microphone mount with the smaller connector, so I'm putting this in right away. Always check that something small like this is not missing. Here the XLR connector, and one thing that immediately stands out, do you see? This is like a golden color, but on the packaging it's silver. Why is that? Golden, silver, golden, silver. That's kind of a surprise. Actually, I don't mind it. It still looks really good. And this seems to be the light. I'm really curious how it sounds. We're going to do A/B test. We're going to test the condenser mic. Condenser mics usually are more sensitive to the environment. So let's say you have the desk and you talk, or you have unfavorable room acoustics. Sometimes it can make more sense to use a dynamic microphone instead. The dynamic microphone picks up the sound only directly in front of it and cancels out most of the rest. So if you have unfavorable room acoustics, dynamic mics are usually pretty good. But on the flip side, these more sensitive condenser mics have the 48-volt phantom power and can deliver a superior sound. So that's what I'm interested to see. I had once a condenser mic that was super sensitive that I kind of decided to send back because the way it sounded in my environment, I felt it picked up a lot of the noise from the room. But not every condenser mic is the same. So that's why we're testing this right now. So guys, I'm super excited. Just let's jump to part 3 and do the sound recordings and the listening test. Let's get going. So guys, welcome back. We jump to part 3, the sound test of the Behringer C1 studio condenser microphone. And a little bit to my test setup, I'm running an XLR cable from the Behringer C1 to my preamp. And then I picked the input gain, I put it on the 3 o'clock position. This was a little bit of a surprise. Usually when I test the dynamic microphones, I always, if I remember correctly, I usually put them on the 1 o'clock position. So it's not a big deal, but I'm still a little bit surprised. The Behringer C1 condenser microphone doesn't necessarily seem to be as sensitive as other condenser microphones that I tested. And once you pick the input gain, the signal gets amplified in my preamplifier, and I'm running a second XLR cable with a line signal to my audio interface. And yeah guys, what do you think? How does this microphone sound? I think it seems to perform pretty well as far as I can see, if you consider the affordable budget. And what we're going to do next, like promised, we're going to compare the condenser microphone against the dynamic microphone, the Shure SM58. So let's do a quick microphone switch. So guys, I'm back again. Right now I switched to the Shure SM58 dynamic microphone. This is the reference mic that I usually like to test all my other microphones against. And as you can see, not much has changed with my test setup. I'm still running the XLR cable in. The signal still gets amplified and the other XLR cable runs out. Only thing that I really literally had to change is the input gain. And as you can see, the input gain is fully turned to the max. But that's somewhat normal with the dynamic microphones. Dynamic microphones aren't as sensitive, and I like these dynamic microphones a lot because they just pick up the sound directly in front of your voice. And I think that's a huge plus if you, for example, think about you are a gamer, you want to do Let's Plays or Twitch streaming or stuff like that. Not that I'm really that much into it, but imagine you have a computer with lots of fans, and the fans make noise. You're in your room. Sometimes you touch the table and stuff like that. The dynamic microphone is going to do a much better job at canceling out that kind of noise, while the condenser microphone is probably going to be much more prone to picking up unwanted sounds from your room, such as fan noise or someone in front of your door, or a landscaping company cutting down a tree in front of your house while you're streaming or something like this. So guys, I'm playing with my imagination a little bit here. And one interesting thing that my preamp kind of has built in that usually you probably won't find on just audio interface is like this low cut filter. So what the low cut filter does, it cuts off a little bit of the bottom of the lower frequencies. So that means when, let's say, I hit on the table, yeah, you probably still hear it, but it's not nearly as much as when you turn the low cut filter off. As soon as you turn the low cut filter off and I start banging on the table, okay, you should probably hear it a little bit more. And also the proximity effect. Sometimes people ask me, oh, how do I get this deep radio voice? You get a deep radio voice maybe if you get a dynamic microphone and you get really, really close and you talk in a really deep voice and you don't use the low cut. That's probably how you get the deep radio voice. Guys, I'm just making fun here a little bit. But nonetheless, dynamic microphones are, in my opinion, probably easier to use for beginners than condenser microphones. But condenser microphones make a different kind of sound, and some people go after this sound, other people go after this sound. So now you have seen the perfect comparison. So let's stop the recording here and jump out the computer, and I'm gonna do a quick wrap up, summary, and conclusion. So guys, right now we jump to the summary and conclusion part 4. I'm just going to give you my opinion, what I think of this mic, and a quick recap of what we've learned so far. First, in part 1, I gave you a short introduction of what I'm planning to do in this product review. Then in part 2, I did an unboxing of the Behringer C1 Studio condenser microphone, and I showed you that, for example, the color on the packaging is silver, but inside it's actually slightly different, a little bit of a golden metal kind of look. Then the transport packaging, very, very useful, really, really nice to have. And then in part 3, we jumped to the sound test and did a little bit of listening. What I noticed when looking at the recording, the sound recording of the Behringer C1 condenser microphone, is that while in the beginning the signal was kind of crisp and clear, I think in one of my recordings, at the end of the recording, there was like a slight hum building up. Not sure whether that is due to the microphone, because I have tested the microphone multiple times, and only in one recording for some reason there was a hum starting to appear, a slight hum. That might be a failure on my end. I can't really say for sure, but so far I like the microphone. It can produce a really nice sound, and usually if you hear a hum in the microphone, at least in my preamp, there's a button where you can put phase invert. That should usually, if I'm not mistaken, remedy the issue. Also, I compared the Behringer C1 with a Shure SM58 dynamic microphone. So basically you had the opportunity to listen to both microphone types, and except this one time where suddenly for a short moment this humming noise showed up unexpectedly, I think both microphones are really great to work with. And you have clearly had the chance to see, or better said, to hear the sound characteristics of these two microphones. And I also talked a little bit about the preamp and the settings and low cut and stuff. So you learned a little bit other things just sprinkled in along the lines. So guys, this concludes the review of the Behringer C1 dynamic microphone. You're invited to check out my YouTube channel page because I can show this to you here under the section audio. You can find lots of more useful tutorials. For example, other audio interfaces, other dynamic, other condenser microphones, as well as, for example, you want to make YouTube videos or have the perfect sound for your video recordings. I also have a audio tutorial for using lavalier microphones so that you get the perfect sound for your, let's say you want to do product reviews. So that you can find all that on my channel page under the section audio. Guys, I see you as a subscriber on my channel, and in the next video I'm very excited to have you here. All the best to you, take care. And because you just watched the microphone comparison of the condenser mic versus the dynamic microphone, you might also be interested in the audio interfaces that I recently reviewed, such as the Yamaha AG3, which you can also find on my channel among lots of other videos. Guys, I'm really amazed about how many people are subscribing to my channel because of the useful product reviews and tutorials that I provide here. You can subscribe right now as well, and I see you in the next video and maybe even in one of my online courses. Take care.